The following is a presentation of the Matt Talk Podcast Network.
Let's circle up, folks, because it's time for the Virginia Wrestling Roundup, a show by the Virginia Wrestling Association. The Virginia Wrestling Roundup is also brought to you by Cliff Keen Athletic, built for life. Get more information on Cliff Keen products by going to matttalkonline.com/Cliff Keen. I'm Jason Bryant, a proud Virginia native, and each month we'll talk about relevant events and topics as it relates to the landscape of VAWA and the wrestling community in the state of Virginia at large. As always, you can find out all you need to know about VAWA by going to virginiawrestling.com. And welcome back. It's been a long time since we last had an episode of the Virginia Wrestling Roundup. We have to go back to May, but we're back in the saddle for another season of wrestling here on Matt Talk Online. My name is Jason Bryant, and our guest today, the new executive director of the Virginia Wrestling Association, Nathan Coburn. Nathan is a Virginia native. He wrestled in Northern Virginia, wrestled in college down at Old Dominion. We'll talk about his background. We'll talk about the things that are going on in the world of wrestling in Virginia, and then we'll also talk Fargo and upcoming events as well. But first of all, Nathan, your first appearance here on the show, and you've got an important role to fill here with VAWA. First of all, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
So let's just get the wheels rolling here. You're a recent graduate of Old Dominion University where you wrestled for Steve Martin, and this opportunity, Andrew Farrell left to work with ARM Software. And then, so what was the enticing part for you to apply for this position?
Really altogether just to be back in the wrestling platform. I was there working for corporate America out in the city, good old DC, and all I really wanted to do was just get back to club and help the kids out and, not deal with the Metro anymore. Seemed like a great opportunity. So I figured I'd take advantage of it.
So let's go back in time and get the breakdown of when did you first start wrestling?
I started wrestling back in third grade. I was sent we used to get these things, Thursday folders, where it would have announcements about stuff coming up. And it was about this flyer saying wrestling. And obviously I initially thought it meant like WWE. I was going to be hitting kids with chairs, but then I saw what folk style wrestling really was about.
So as you started getting into wrestling, I mean, there's a certain age where you're like, all right, yeah, instead of just going to have fun and, trying to play kickball and learning a single leg, when did the sport really become something that you cared about?
Well, to be honest, it was actually kind of later on. I was always playing multiple sports, whether it was baseball. I mean, there was even one year where I was wrestling and playing basketball, even playing lacrosse and stuff, but not until after my freshman year, actually my sophomore year of high school, when I repeated placing the same in the region, and I wasn't too happy with that. And Coach Hill just kind of sat me down and was like, if you really, really want to take this serious and you want to not be satisfied with where you're at, then you need to come to off season. And that's when I really started to take it seriously and focus more on the other styles along with freestyle, Greco, and just really wrestling year round.
What was it about wrestling at the Hayfield program with Roy Hill, who's been such an integral part of VAWA for a number of years? We're going on decades here, but what was it about Roy that made wrestling for him fun and wrestling for him an educational experience?
Oh man, I could go on forever about what Coach Hill has done and how awesome of an experience it's been to wrestle for him. Coach Hill was involved in my wrestling life ever since an early age, but it wasn't really until I started wrestling for him in high school that obviously he took my wrestling background seriously. And he's like a father figure, not to myself, but to many kids. I mean, you could have a whole website just with quotes on what people would say about Coach Hill. And it's really been a pleasure. I mean, words can't explain what Coach Hill's done for me. and my family as well. But I'm really excited for this next season because I'll be coaching alongside him.
Yeah, and when it comes to Coach Hill and all the time spent, I mean, how many hours do you think you spent in the old van?
Oh man, well if you're talking the old shag wagon with the TV,
yeah, that van.
I've probably put on, I'd say definitely in the upper thousands, probably close to 5,000-6,000 miles on that thing. And then we recently did a GoFundMe, and my dad actually, who's a mechanic, went out with Coach Hill to pick a nice new white van that he uses to carry the kids around with now. So
yeah, the old one was pimp back in its day.
Not as luxurious as the cadet seats that they had. So
well, I'll say this: the old one, when it was relatively not oldish, was pretty pimp back in its day. So I remember looking at it going, oh yeah, it wasn't quite as. I mean, it was as well traveled as my old El Camino. You'll have to ask some of the older guys about that. But
oh yeah,
that one has legendary.
I was the last class that they could even watch movies with it in. I remember when that thing got broken. So that was very disheartening. Some very very long trips after that point.
Yeah, and as we move forward, you decide to go to college, and then you took some time off from wrestling. What was the reason behind taking the time off?
To be honest, I was pretty burnt out after my senior year. I was cutting a good amount of weight, and I mean, I had several offers from colleges. I only really went on one visit, but I really just kind of wanted to focus on academics. And after 2 years, I went and wrestled in an open tournament, the VAWA, and Coach Hill really is what kind of inspired me to get back on the mat and get back to competing.
Yeah, because you didn't have really the intention when you went to Old Dominion to wrestle, at the Division I level, and then once you got that Mawa itch back, I mean, what was that first conversation like with was it Steve Martin or was it Mike Dixon about it's like, hey, I'm here, can I walk on?
Well, Steve's very strict on walk-ons, that's for sure. So I actually, after the mall, there was one time where we were at Gunston and I was just helping train with the kids, and I went up to Coach Hill, and I don't know, I just was kind of beating up on the kids pretty hard, and went up to him and told him, I was like, see, Coach, I still have it. And he was like, yeah, if you apply yourself like you used to and you work as hard as you did back in high school, you could probably walk on to ODU. And that really just kind of stuck with me. My cousin was on the team, and I had a lot of friends that were already on the team, and that just was really stuck in my head. So I started kind of training, working real hard. In fact, my old college roommate, Lloyd Tenaglia, who wrestled at Chantilly, we would go in the courtyard. I don't know if you're familiar with the district apartments were past your time at ODU.
Oh, sure. But, rub it in. Sure. Rub it in. Rub the H thing in.
We would actually go in they had like this turf, and we would go in there and wrestle. And so I ended up, I contacted the coaches. They said they wanted to see me wrestle, and went out to University Nationals. The day before we left, I was there training at George Mason's room. Joe Russell's awesome. He's always welcomed me into his room. And I was wrestling this kid, snapped his head down, brought it up, hit me in the head, and my tooth practically went through my lip, so I had to get 8 stitches the day before we left. So I go up to Akron, ended up doing all right, All-American in Greco, and I think I went like 2-2 in freestyle, which is what most of the guys at ODU, unfortunately at that time, had done. Since then, we've had several All-Americans in the University Nationals. So, but yeah, then I got a call from my cousin saying that Dixon told me they'd like to see me train, and I was there in the ER getting my stitches redone. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, because people don't just people when they hear walk on, they're thinking, okay, you're a freshman, and then okay, you're workout fodder. Okay, you probably last the ones that are kind of half hearting. It's like, yeah, I'll try it, and they're talking about a year, maybe even a semester. But you did this on the tail end of your college career. It's like, okay, I'm just going to go to University Nationals. I mean, just to go out there and place in Greco after there wasn't a whole lot of competitive opportunities between your senior year and then. I mean, that's just kind of like that. It's not quite a Rudy-esque story because you don't cap it with the big takedown, the win the homecoming duel, and things like that. But what was it like to kind of be that kind of that walk on? Is like, all right, I've earned a spot on this team. I mean, what did you learn out of that experience?
I mean, it was awesome. So at first it was kind of like, okay, I'm on the team now. Now what do I do? And at first it was grueling. I mean, I was getting my butt whooped left and right. And so then I just really just kind of started applying myself. I was like, well, worst comes to worst, I'm at least going to help better my teammates here. And so I realized, all right, well, I need to start really putting in the extra time. And so I would stay after practices or get an extra workout in on my own. And eventually I was able to really hang with even the best guys in the room. And then from there, I'm sure even a couple of the coaches probably thought when I first got in, they're like, okay, this kid's probably not going to last too long. And I'm sure they were pretty surprised to see me, last until I had graduated. But from then it was just, all right, I want to wrestle in as many opens as I can and, get as much competition as I can.
So when you talked about focusing on the academics, there's the wrestling part of it, but you obviously went to college to get a degree and put that towards something and towards your career in business. What were you looking at? What were you majoring in Old Dominion? And what were your initial plans? Like you said, you were working in the corporate world following graduation, but how much did that degree go into that first job and realize like, okay, I'm applying myself with what I learned, but now I think I want to apply something else, what I learned to something else?
Yeah, I double majored in business analytics and marketing. And to be honest, marketing has always been something that I've always been interested in, whether it's promotions, advertisements, or even just a business plan. But business analytics, there was one time I met with an advisor. They said, hey, it's only a couple extra classes. Then I came to find out later on, after I'd already kind of already jumped the gun with it, that there was a lot more than just a couple extra classes. But business analytics is more so the research and statistics side, and that interested me as well. And I didn't really have a clear path as far as what job I wanted. And so at first it was just kind of more, I got an outside sales position. I had several offers from inside sales firms and this place I had interned at, but the outside, dealing with clients person to person, taking them out to lunches, wining and dining them, that really enticed me. I knew that I didn't know the exact industry I wanted to be in, but I knew I wanted to be in something where it was really personable.
Yeah, and in wrestling, that might be something as simple as like, all right, we're going to a nice steak dinner, or hey, I'll pick up your tab at the Buffalo Wild Wings.
Exactly. And obviously we enjoyed plenty of that over at Fargo.
Yeah, for a number of years, I think, let's see, this is I can't remember. I don't even know. I'm losing count. 18 years of Fargo for me. And so 17 years of Buffalo Wild Wings. But as the opportunity opened for the VAWA executive director position, how much did you pay attention to what Andrew, your predecessor, had done before you, and seeing the changes that had happened within VAWA that said, you know what, I think I can really help benefit this position?
Oh, I mean, well, Andrew, actually, him and I wrestled together back in high school. He was coaching at Episcopal, and he would let us come in on Sundays and stuff. And so I contacted him directly and just told him, hey, man, I'm actually kind of interested in this position, but the impact he's left with VAWA is undescribable. I mean, he's really taken Virginia to the next level, and he's really left some big shoes for me to fill. He's really branded Team Virginia, and he's been really helping me out a lot as of recent with transitioning into this position, and I do owe him a lot of credit because I can't put into words what Coach Hill's done for me. I mean, Andrew's done a hell of a job here at VAWA.
Yeah, now you get to coach with Roy at Hayfield, and you get to work alongside Roy with VAWA. So it's like, the little pup has grown up for some of these things. I mean, I'm starting to hear that a lot too, because I've been around for, when I was the 18-year-old kid in Virginia, and now it's like I'm old. I got kids of my own. People are like, you grew up. So Mr. Coburn, you grew up. Now, moving into where the real pressure is, and that is, getting things ready for Fargo, going through the ropes and learning how Andrews and the staff had, booked the hotels and worked on the flights and everything. I mean, what about the logistics part of it is challenging, and what about the logistics part of it is something you're looking forward to tackling?
Oh, I mean, the logistics and operations of Fargo is ridiculous. Luckily, I mean, Fargo was actually my second week on the job. So I've been saying, they kind of threw me in with the Wolves, but luckily it was already all set in place. You start planning for Fargo, there's stuff that I'm planning for it right now. So you plan far in advance, and then once you get there, that's when you can kind of take a couple deep breaths and be like, okay, we're here. We got everything set. We're ready to go. Challenges as far as the logistics. I mean, luckily Andrew left a very well thought out game plan. I've, been picking his brain, Bill's, a lot of the other guys on the board and coaches and whatnot, and been figuring out, okay, what did we do right this past year? Where can we progress for the following years? And what do we need to do to achieve the goals that Team Virginia is trying to set?
And with those goals ultimately do lead to medals. They lead to increased performance. And we look at the medal count from Fargo this past year, 14 medals across the two women's age groups. And then we also had, each style picked up a medal on the boys' side. We've got 3 in junior freestyle, 1 in cadet freestyle, 3 cadet Greco-Roman medals, a junior Greco-Roman medal, 3 junior women, 3 cadet women, including Jessie Kirby's championship at the cadet women's level. And we look at the women's organization. I mean, there's a group of girls coming through that are really kind of blazing the trail. I mean, there were All-Americans beforehand. We've had national champions, but what are you seeing out of this group of girls that's coming through? Really, that they've been taking wrestling seriously because it's been around long enough since they were little kids to know that, okay, I can go to Fargo and wrestle. I can wrestle nationals. I mean, the girls program here, and then with Kirby, winning a championship and finishing third at the higher age group. I mean, this has got to be positive for the girls wrestling in Virginia as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, the girls program really outperformed. I mean, we didn't even really know what to expect out of them. I mean, obviously we had a returning national champ, and that was awesome. And we knew that we had a pretty solid group. Now, obviously it wasn't the biggest in Fargo. California and Texas, those are some big groups of women's teams there. But I'm really proud of the girls. I mean, they performed so well, and they are all extremely committed to the sport of wrestling. I see Bree constantly tweeting about, trying to bring the women's sport. And obviously Catherine, the coach, has her nonprofit, Wrestle Like a Girl. And they're constantly tweeting about, trying to bring wrestling into the Division I level. And we're hoping eventually, bring girls wrestling into the high school level in Virginia as well.
Yeah, and there's a couple tournaments that are going to be sanctioned this year on the girls' side, and now looking beyond the girls now into the freestyle and Greco side of things on the boys' side. I had a couple finalists. John Borst made the finals in junior freestyle, Jeffrey Allen in junior Greco. And anytime Team Virginia gets up on that podium to compete, and this is 2 straight years that the state has won the Spirit Award, and this is something that I know Andrew took seriously, you take seriously, and the whole team's is starting to take seriously. When Team Virginia's on that race platform underneath the lights, that's an opportunity to put not just the athlete on the center stage, but show the development and the progress that our state is making as a whole. I mean, from an administrator standpoint, what's the feeling when you see a John Borst or a Jeffrey Allen or a Jessie Kirby go up on that stage?
Oh, I mean, it's awesome. I even tweeted a picture of Jeffrey Allen's match because it was just surreal to me, being there under the lights and being in his corner with the other coaches. It's awesome. And honestly, when the kids really get into it, we're really proud of those Team Spirit Awards, because when the kids really get into it, I mean, it's so electrifying. Like Malcolm Robinson, when in his 3rd place match, when he took down who now is his teammate over at Blair, when he won that, clinched the match, and then got that takedown in the end, everyone jumping up. They happened to be alongside the mat in the stands. Everyone jumping up, just going crazy. It was awesome. And we're really, really happy that our team was able to bond together and support those even after they were done wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, there's just I don't want to leave any of the kids out, but I mean, there's just so many good performances. I remember that was one where I was sitting at the press table. I could hear this huge eruption, and I didn't even know who was wrestling over there, but I knew it was Team Virginia. I knew it was Team Virginia involved. And then, you got guys like, Wade Wheeler, an interesting story, going up a weight, in Cadet Greco and finishing 4th. And then, you mentioned Bree Santos and then, Trent Ragland, losing it. The Ragland story is so intriguing to me because not only he lost his first round match to the same kid in both styles, and he was the only kid in the tournament that came through in Greco that lost in the first round, came back and took third, and he was on pace to do it again in the freestyle side of things, but much bigger bracket there. But Ragland, the first All-American from New Kent, also of note, and of course, just there's great individual performances all around. I want to move that into a great individual performance on somebody that represented Virginia recently at the Cadet World Championships. Kurt McHenry from out of Leesburg wrestles high school up in Maryland at St. Paul. Cadet World Champion. That's a huge win for the state of Virginia.
Oh yeah, and I mean it's our second in 3 years. Mason Manville just 2 years back. It's pretty awesome just to be able to even say that. When I was actually on my way down to North Carolina for the NC State ODU game, and it was North Carolina USA Wrestling. They had their fall chapter meeting, so I was going down there to give a little presentation, and I got the notification that Kurt had won it, and I went crazy. I had my cousin Austin, in the car, and I was like, "Damn, Virginia just had another world champion, man! It's crazy. It's awesome to be able to say that the Commonwealth has produced such, high accolade athletes in the sport of wrestling."
I'm really holding my tongue, trying not to throw an Austin Coburn joke out there because it's just,
there's plenty of them, man.
Teed up, man. I mean, well, the thing is, he's your cousin. I mean, we had some great quotes from the guys on the ODU show, but I need to getting off topic here for a minute. I need like one of the best Austin Coburn quote moments. In case you're wondering, yes, the cousin we're referring to, Cosby State champion and Old Dominion wrestler Austin Coburn. Yes, they are related. They are cousins. I mean, I'm not sure which one claims.
I mean, obviously, I got the better genes, but it's okay.
Yeah, I understand that's been a joke too. But so, give me the best Austin Coburn quote that you can pull up off the top of your head. It might have been one from last weekend for all we know.
Oh man. There's some great ones for sure. Well, I can tell you one thing. When I first started wrestling for you, Dixon, and I was getting all the compliance work done and everything, Dixon asked me, he's like, "So, are you like your cousin?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Man, he's always losing things like his phone and his wallet." And I was like, "Let's put it this way, Austin's book smart, I'm street smart." And that's the best way to kind of describe us too. But the best quote I can think of for Austin, at least off the top of my head, is it's more so a story, and his dad tells it often. There's this time that Austin, we know how Austin is, and Maddie, his little sister, had some friends over for dinner, and his dad told him, "Austin, I know how you can get. Just, be on your best behavior today." And I was like, "All right," and Austin's a very respectful kid, so I don't want to be talking bad about him here. But so they're all having dinner, and then Bobby Joe, his dad, looks over and he sees Austin drinking one. He has two glasses of milk in both hands, or he's drinking one in his left hand. Then he turns to the other, drinks it, turns to his right hand, drinks it, looks at his dad, sees his dad just giving him the most perplexed look, and he just spits it out everywhere, all over Maddie's friends, who all had little crushes there in Austin. Just spits milk all over them, and was laughing, and said, "I told you to be on your best behavior," and yep, that's Austin for you.
That was his best behavior. Apparently, there's also a reason why the Old Dominion sweatpants have pockets, and it is. I believe it's because. But anyway,
they need zippers on them too, though. They need to update them. They need zippers on them, at least for guys like Austin.
All right, enough abuse of Austin Coburn, your cousin there. Now, as we move forward, we talked about Kurt McHenry. We got a lot of events coming up here on the VAWA slate, and if you're listening to the show, you can go right to VirginiaWrestling.com. As we record this on September 29th, 2016, events coming up. We got a training day coming up for VAWA on the 1st, followed by, the Virginia Challenge Kickoff Classic is on the 2nd. We've got clinics that are popping up. Robinson's hosting 2 fall clinics. Kevin Steinhaus is coming into George Mason. He was a multiple time All-American from the University of Minnesota. Good relationship with Joe Russell there. So a busy fall for the VAWA calendar. And let's just talk about these upcoming events, these training days, these clinics that are all coming to the state of Virginia here before we get to the high school season.
Oh yeah. So the UVA training day, VAWA's training day at UVA this Saturday. we did it last year, and I mean, it was an awesome turnout. We had some of the best guys in the state there. And this year, last time I checked the registration, it's looking just as good. We have multiple returning state champs, multiple returning All-Americans. Kurt McHenry's on the list right now, so it's looking like it's going to be an awesome session. I know Steve Garland's going to be running the first session and at least helping out with it. And then we'll have I forget who's actually running the second session. I'll have to see that, but I know that they'll be doing some live. And it's going to be an awesome experience. It's going to be Coach Miles is actually running the second session. So, yeah, it's going to be really great. That, along with the Virginia Challenge, obviously. I believe they have an individual and then a dual tournament. And then we are kicking off our new elementary school and middle school dual teams. They'll be traveling out to Pennsylvania for a couple, Malvern Prep, the West Penn duels, and also they'll be there at the Virginia Beach Nationals. So got a lot coming up as of recent.
Yeah, and of course, all that information, again, go to virginiawrestling.com and click on the events tab. And let's talk a little bit about, you mentioned, the training days at UVA. We've got the camps at George Mason. We've got regional training centers at Virginia Tech, Ferrum, and Old Dominion. And when you look at the college scene and how much these college programs are now working really, they're ingrained with VAWA here. I mean, it's a little different than it was probably 10, 15 years ago where, you'd have college coaches kind of on staff here and there, but for the most part, you've got the buy-in from all the state's colleges. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, they're well aware of the opportunity that VAWA and Virginia USA Wrestling holds. And we love to have, any experience we can, any exposure that we can help the high school kids have to any of these college coaches, no matter the division, we're all for it. And it's really been awesome able to really work with the colleges, whether it is Virginia Tech, UVA, George Mason, or Ferrum. And it's really been an awesome opportunity over the past couple of years seeing these relationships grow. We've also got some new coaching changes. We've got some new programs. The program at Southern Virginia Division III school, going from club to Division III. They're championship eligible this year. Ferrum's hosted a Division III regional within the last couple of years. They're actually, the city of Roanoke and Ferrum working on bidding for the NCAA Division III championships during the 2019 through 2022 cycle. So there's an opportunity to have some national championship wrestling there. We've seen the coaches at Washington and Lee, involved in VAWA. So it's one thing that, we're seeing with the Division III level. And of course, there's a new coach at Hampton Sydney. So, we've got the smaller schools that are building and helping facilitate VAWA measures as well, because we've had the coaches from some of those schools on staff in Fargo.
Oh yeah, I mean, Alex Ratsky was very, very influential in our Fargo experience. I mean, he's an awesome coach over there at Washington and Lee, and we're very, very happy to have him over there helping us out in Fargo.
So now as we move forward, goals that you have for your position in VAWA and working with, these people that have been basically, they were the team leaders when you were coming through, and now you're a team leader with them. And what are some plans that they've got that you're going to follow up with and push through? And what are some ideas that you're going to bring to the table that some youth on your side is going to help you with?
Yeah. So obviously one of the biggest goals for any state chapter is just building the memberships itself. And as of recent, we've been acquiring various youth leagues and helping them grow their memberships. But one of the biggest goals as of right now is really building our elementary school and middle school dual teams. And we've got some real studs that have been joining these teams, and they've got an awesome schedule up ahead of them. Very, very tough schedule, but we're excited to see how these kids perform. So that's been one thing that's really been a top priority of mine. That, along with obviously fundraising, bringing in some new corporate sponsors. We got to deal with Nike last year that Andrew got, and we're very happy for that. So looking to get some other ones, and that's one of another thing that I'm really focusing on is getting some new corporate sponsorships and just really building a stronger Team Virginia brand and increasing the scope of our organization. That's what my primary focus is here.
Yeah, one thing I did notice, you alluded to this earlier about your trip down to North Carolina, is I was sitting there getting ready to watch the Old Dominion NC State game. I've got my Chromecast set up. I'm streaming it. It's on ESPN3 or Watch ESPN. I'm ready to go. And Melissa Simmons, who is the director of operations for NC State's wrestling program, sends me a picture. and it's you speaking at a podium with this big thing about the podcast, about this podcast. From that's our podcast network, and
hey, I had to touch on it a little bit.
Hey, she goes, you're getting some props. I'm like, what the heck? Oh, by the way, yep. ODU plays NC State. She had no clue, but you were definitely aware of what's going on. So yeah, one, I appreciate the plug to North Carolina, but two, these things that we're doing here, and this is going to give us a little bit of a pat on the back, so to speak. I mean, it's not like I'm looking for self appreciation here, but when you're out there talking to companies now, and how much does things like podcasts, like the video, like having interactive things on the website, how much do those entice these sponsors to be like, yeah, this is something we want to get behind, because not only is it for kids and it's a great sport to promote so many different things that wrestling brings, but it's also connected, and we can keep tabs on it.
Oh, I mean, it helps a lot. Any promotion that we have, being able to say that our membership is now up to about 7,000 to 8,000 people, being able to say, hey, you have this many people that you're able to reach out to, on whether it's through the emails, social media, the podcast, or any other advertisements, it's huge. And that's what we're really using to our availability and really using to our advantage. And that's why I touched on it in my presentation, that I was saying, hey, these are the promotional things that we're touching on, and this is what's really given us the edge on any other states that are at least around our height or trying to get to. And it's kind of funny you touched on that presentation. I actually started off, my first slide said final score, Monarchs 21, Wolfpack 17. Clearly that didn't happen. So that was a pretty tough game there.
Yeah, and considering, well, at least they'll beat a Carolina school coming up this upcoming weekend. By the time, again, as we record this, they got Charlotte. I'm pretty confident in that game.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think they can do all right against those 49ers.
Yeah, but thing is, here's the thing: this is a wrestling show. We can talk offline about how our love for the football Monarchs all we want. And I'll be hitting a game. I'll be back in November as the Monarch. They'll take on Southern Miss. I'll be in town announcing the Old Dominion Missouri wrestling match that weekend as well. So anyway,
I'll be there too. Awesome.
Final thoughts on VAWA, the pitch for the parents that are discovering the show. I mean, what are some things that they can look forward to this season?
Well, obviously, the biggest thing that we've really been focusing on is the youth leagues that we've been working with, and there's a lot of opportunities with VAWA and USA Wrestling. I mean, our sole goal is to keep the Olympic dream alive. We are the national governing body of wrestling, and it's, as far as our pitch and what's coming up with VAWA, just stay tuned, VirginiaWrestling.com. Check out the calendar. Make sure to follow us on all our social media accounts, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. And we'll be sure to continue with our post.
And here on the podcast, as we'll be firing up more frequently here, as we took a little summer break, but things happen when you're announcing the Olympics and stuff like that. So for Nathan Coburn, this is Jason Bryant. Thanks for listening to the Virginia Wrestling Roundup. More episodes coming soon. Stick around and watch and listen, actually, on VirginiaWrestling.com.
This show is part of the Matt Talk Podcast Network. For more wrestling podcasts, head over to MattTalkOnline.com.